have them on stage.
Everybody, thank you so much for being here. We've had a heavy-duty session, but it's time to sort of spice things up a little bit. It's time to talk about things that we all see now all around us, things we love to scroll, we love to watch, we love to forward, but also this time understand the faces behind them. This time also understand the stories behind them. Now the trajectory or the spectrum of influencing in the country has moved many-fold. Last year, on the Rising Bharat platform, when we had this conversation, it was about how celebrities now wanted to be influencers. We're talking at a time right before elections where we want politicians, where we see them sort of also understanding the language, speaking the language of influencers. Big smile on their faces there. We recently had awards where the Prime Minister himself awarded different categories and different people on what spectacular work this young India, young Bharat is actually doing. Some of them are sitting with us right here on the stage. I want to begin the conversation by giving all of you a little bit of an introduction for everybody over here and also understand their story and also give you a bit of perspective on what is this influence that they bring into the whole conversation. My first question is to Janvi. Janvi, if you guys don't know already, was awarded the fashion icon with a heritage touch from the Prime Minister himself. You must have seen that very famous, yes, please, come on, don't be shy. You must have seen that meme where Janvi went in her mode and tried to touch Prime Minister's feet. The Prime Minister reciprocated and touched her feet instead. And she, like this 20-year-old that she doesn't look it, all shy, has lots to say about that. So Janvi, by the way, for all of you who don't know, is just 20. And on her page, the content that she speaks about is on saris, different kind of saris, where they come from. And in that mode, tell you a little bit about culture, tell you a little bit about heritage of India. Isn't that quite beautiful? So Janvi, firstly, welcome and tell us how did it all really start? Sari, is this sari influencer? Can I call you that? Like, is that a phrase now?
Yeah, I think you can call me that and I would love to be, right? So I think, I mean, fashion is subjective, but मुझे लगता है मेरे लिए fashion है अपने culture और अपने heritage को represent करना. If I can represent my state or any other particular state in Bharat, and I think भारत इतना सुंदर देश है, इतने सुंदर textiles है, prints हैं, and कहीं ना कहीं आजकल वो लुप्त हो रहा है, खत्म सा हो रहा है, right? तो बहुत सारे कॉमन प्रिंट्स हैं जो हमें पता है ना. A lot of us know बनारसी and then पैठणी and maybe पटोरा, but there are few more textiles जो लोगों को नहीं पता है. There is इकट, अजरक, like कोसा, मेखला. So ये जो प्रिंट्स हैं वो ना भारत में कहीं खो रहे हैं. एंड मेरा जो साड़ी से प्यार है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है और मुझे लगा कि अगर मैं इतनी इंटरेस्टेड हूँ you know, to know about the textile and the culture. So ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग होंगे. So I thought let's start a series and even I'll get to learn कि भारत में कितनी अलग-अलग साड़ीज़ हैं, एक साड़ी को बनने में कितना समय लगता है, कितनी valuable है. क्योंकि अगर हम इतिहास में भी जाके देखें, because मैं content बनाती हूँ तो मेरा content scriptures के around भी होता है, right? तो महाभारत में भी अगर हम जाके देखें तो माँ द्रौपदी और महाभारत के समय में माँ रुक्मणी ये भी शुरू ही हुई थी. तो ये सभ्यता कितनी पुरानी है ना. तो वहाँ से ये शुरू हुई एंड देन इट केम टू रामायण ऑल्सो, जहाँ माता सीता, माता कौशल्या भी हैंडलूम पर बने हुए हाथशाल, हाथ शिल्प पर बनी हुई सिल्क की, रेशम की साड़ियाँ पहना करती थी. सो आई वांट टू रिवाइव कल्चर बैक इन इंडिया एंड टू रिप्रेजेंट साड़ी प्राउडली. सो दिस इज द न्यू कूल.
The new cool. See, you're getting applause straight away on that. So, you know, when I met Janvi and I said, when you meet a 20-year-old influencer, what is the image that comes to mind? Clearly not this, but it's people like Janvi who are changing trends, who are making India cool, who are making content which is about India, rooted in India, so much cooler. I think that's why we're having this conversation right here on the Rising Bharat Summit as well. So we talked about sari influence. There is also travel influencing. Our next guest on the panel, उनके नाम के आगे आपने देखा होगा ब्रूस्ड पासपोर्ट्स लिखा है, वो उसी नाम से जाने जाते हैं. और हम जब इनसे बात कर रहे थे तो ये वैसे तरह के लोग हैं जिनको आप सोशल अपने स्क्रॉल पर देखते हैं सोशल मीडिया पे और कहते हैं ये हमेशा ट्रैवल करते रहते हैं, काम कब करते हैं. सो वी रियली वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम द टू ऑफ यू, काम कब करते हैं, हर समय ट्रैवल करते हैं, ये लाइफस्टाइल है, और कैसे हर समय वेकेशन पर होते हैं.
हमको ट्रैवलिंग इतनी अच्छी लगती है कि हमने उसे अपना काम ही बना लिया है. तो अब हम ट्राई करते हैं कि काम भी कर ले और पैशन भी फॉलो कर ले. बट आई ट्रूली थिंक दैट the reason why we started doing this was because both of us have known each other for a very long time and we used to work in very different jobs, but increasingly we felt we want to spend more time together and we had a shared passion of travel. So we thought, can't we do something that can combine everything? We can travel, spend more time with each other, and work as well, because it needs to be sustainable.
And with it, just for our audience, tell us how many countries have the two of you visited together so far?
As they say, just for age, like, you know, it's just a number. But since we are talking about it, it's 110 now. Yeah, soon I think it'll be 111.
And did you tell me that you are traveling 300 out of 365 days?
On an average, yeah. If we take an average for the last 10 years, then yeah, that will be the average.
We actually traveled full-time for about 5 odd years. Now we live in Delhi, but yeah, we travel 300
Live in
days
Delhi, matlab if 300 days you're out, how are you living in Delhi? What does that mean?
As my mom says, was suitcase rakhne aur kapde dhone aate ho, and then you're off again.
I have always wanted to understand this from travel influencers. हम सब जाते हैं छुट्टियों पर to have a good time, to detox, to leave aside our phone and just chill, right? आप जाते हैं, is it hard? Is it work now that you have to make content, make reels, ensure that, you know, people are following, it's reaching the right audience, the branding is on point, the partners have been done. Is it work or has the fun?
For both of us, because we travel together, it's a lot of fun as well. But yes, you're right. It's influencing or content creation is a full-time job. In fact, because both of us had corporate jobs before this, I would say it's much more demanding than our previous jobs because your mind is at work 24/7. But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So just on that note, also tell us what were you doing and with it, what were you doing before you took up traveling full-time?
I'm a computer engineer by education, so I was working in that field. Savi is a PhD in English literature.
I actually used to teach at Delhi University, so I used to teach BA and MA students at Delhi University.
From computers to a camera, you know. I think they say, like, if you're passionate about something, then you can definitely make it your profession. So
an engineer, a PhD student is now a full-time influencer, and that is the reality. They're happy about it, and they love it, and it's a sustainable job. That's where the influencing game has actually gone. And I think that's what, you know, deserves a lot of compliment, credit as well, because I know it's not easy. Talking about where it has gone and talking about how influencers are emerging from engineering, doctors, PhDs, I have someone else here with me. Hi, Shantanu.
Hi.
Shantanu also is an engineer, but does something which I bet nobody sitting in this room would know about. Can I have a raise of hand of, do you know what is art fluence? Dead.
Because we just came up with the word just like
Shantanu,
right now.
what is art fluence?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Shantanu Hazarika and I am an artist by profession. And there's no such thing as art fluence. I mean, art has always been influential throughout the ages. We have read about the different movements in art during the Renaissance time, during all different periods of time. But what is art in its truest form? It's a summary, it's a sort of a subjective understanding of any civilization. And it is always propagated through different mediums. Before it was through sculptures, before it was through portraits, paintings, and now it's through social media. So what I'm trying to do is merge the idea of art, get it out there for a wider audience to understand and perceive art how we artists see them as, basically. So artfluencing, to be honest, is still a very subjective term. We just coined it. We're going to trademark this. And what I'm trying to do is create a design and introduce a quality or set a bar when it comes to art and design through social media.
Shantanu is being humble right now, and we're not taking brand names, but the biggest brands in India and internationally now go to Shantanu and say, design our campaigns, design what our packaging should look like. So you see what's happening? There was a time when you had to study design, you had to be an art expert. Now, you can go to this engineer coming from the Northeast who loves doing it, is passionate about it, and that's what's going to get business, and that's what's going to get a beautiful community as well. But talking about the fact that you come from the Northeast, Janvi, I know, comes from my state, UP, and, well, Bruised, you guys are just all over the world. You just belong to India. You just belong to Bharat, right? I'm just gonna leave it there. But I think the next spectrum, in the spectrum of influencing, and it's come through a major journey for the past couple of years. What's happened now is initially we had influencers who would tell you what kind of makeup to put, what kind of clothes to wear. There was this entire category who were wannabe celebrities, now full-time actors, etc. But look at this. The next set of influencers from India are coming from small towns, are coming from places and have stories to tell which have been long lost, and are coming from places which take pride in what their true identity really is. Janvi, tell me, how did you tie that up? And how did this girl from UP decide कि आज अब मैं ना साड़ी के बारे में बात करने वाली हूँ?
तो जैसा कि आपने कहा कि अब जो ये नया दौर है इन्फ्लुएंसर्स का, क्रिएटर्स का, जहाँ हम छोटे शहर से आ रहे हैं एंड बहुत अलग अलग जगह से कंटेंट निकल के आ रहा है, तो यही तो है नया भारत, है ना? तो और इससे होता क्या है कि अलग अलग क्रिएटर्स को एक स्टेज मिल रहा है, एक प्लेटफॉर्म मिल रहा है, एंड प्लस द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज ऑल्सो रिकग्नाइजिंग दिस नाउ. सो इट्स अ हेल्दियर कॉम्पिटिशन जहाँ अच्छा कंटेंट निकल के आएगा, अच्छे कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स निकल के आएंगे जो भारत को लेके जाएंगे. सो इट विल बी अ राइजिंग भारत. Right. But right, yeah, coming up to the sarees now, I think मेरा जुड़ाव साड़ीज़ के साथ बहुत रहा है और मुझे लगता है मैं साड़ी पहन के सबसे सुंदर दिखती हूँ. And not just that, it helps me to take my culture, my heritage forward. तो अपनी सांस्कृतिक धरोहर जो आज का युवा भूलते जा रहा है, उन्हें बड़ी शर्म आती है. हम अपनी भाषा कैसे बोले, हम अपना पहनावा लोगों को कैसे दिखाएं. आजकल लोग शर्म करते हैं. They expect girls to wear a sari, but not a single man can wear a dhoti and walk, right? So that's what the expectations the society has set now, and that's not should be the case. I mean, ये नया भारत है, युवा भारत है, तो इसको एक प्राइड लेना चाहिए अपने कल्चरल हेरिटेज को फॉरवर्ड ले जाने के लिए. और मैंने अपनी सीरीज़ साड़ी का साहित्य इस वजह से भी शुरू किया ताकि अगर एक 20 साल की लड़की अगर साड़ी पहनने को कूल दिखा सकती हूँ, सो यू कैन ऑल्सो डू दैट. आई मीन आई कैन मोटिवेट दैट यंग पीपल आउट देयर टू टेक प्राइड इन देयर कल्चर. एंड ऑनेस्टली आई एम टेलिंग यू, भारत से सुंदर कल्चर पूरे दुनिया में कहीं नहीं है. भले ही आप पूरा भारत घूम ले, यू मस्ट हैव नोटिस्ड दिस एंड यू माइट अग्री.
I was about to say this, that one of the greatest things that social media has done is that till a few years ago, there used to be this stereotype of India. We saw it in so many movies like Slumdog Millionaire and everything. But thanks to social media, we, people like us, can portray different facets of the country, because India is such a culturally rich country. And all of us can show different facets, whether it's luxury travel में कोई India किसी country से कम नहीं है, but कोई उसकी बात नहीं करता.
So many incredible
natural
India places.
wonders. Yeah, natural wonders mein India is so good, but we need to highlight it more and more. And one of the things that comes to mind is we were in Meghalaya a couple of years ago, और हमने उधर river Doki पर एक video खींचा, and it sort of went viral online. And every single day we get messages from people sitting in UK or Spain who saw that video, came to India, went to Meghalaya, and then explored Meghalaya, although earlier they would just do like Agra and Jaipur perhaps, you know. So the onus is on all of us to foreground the culture, the rich heritage, the places of India in the coming years.
That's very rightly said, but Savi, ये सब तो ठीक है, आप तो साड़ी पहनकर आ गई हैं, पर इस पैनल के बाद हमें जरा विदित से पता करना चाहिए कि धोती पहनना आता है कि नहीं. हाँ, that is, I think it's a very valid point that Janvi has picked up.
I think इस discussion के बाद तो सीखना पड़ेगा. But would love to. So you know.
I can teach you.
Yeah,
I know how to.
Let's do that.
I like how Shantanu in his very punk sort of Japanese monk avatar and his hair is saying, I will teach you dhoti. I really want to wait and see that. But this is what I want to come to. Content creation, and in India today, finding your true identity doesn't have to be one person. You can be as desi as Janvi, as cool desi as she said, as cool desi as Janvi. You can be as punk as Shantanu, but you will still find a community that will feel a sense of belonging with you. And thus the onus, which is what I want to bring everybody's attention to. A lot has been said about influencers and the influence they have and what do they do with it. एक बहुत infamous dialogue है, बोला गया था किसी platform पे कि influencers तो बिकाऊ हैं. कोई भी brand जाके उनको कितने भी पैसे दे सकता है and they'll say whatever, right? So has that changed in the industry? Shantanu, why don't you pick that question? Is there a conscious thought now on what idea, what brands, what kind of thinking are you really going to put out through yourself and through your brand?
See, the thing is, what has happened over time is the influencer market is sort of saturated. Now, when you're talking about brands, they understand the importance of marketing and branding in a very subtle way. It has to be universal in nature, right? It can't be like, okay, I'm watching an ad. It shouldn't be evident that I'm watching an ad. It beats the purpose of influencing anything. So what happens in that scope is you have to build your own brand, which is organic, which is natural. And to have that, you need to have a core audience. So there are few things which a community will always relate to. Joy, pain, and salvation. So I come from a place where we have seen all three of those things. And pride. And of course, pride. Like Janvi said, pride in our own culture. So if you sort of can capitalize on 4 different or maybe one of those things, you can start relating to people more. Be it through art, be it through social media, be it through travel, be it through any medium, whatever you call it. So the moment you start building that particular sense of collectiveness among a group of people, be it a small group of people who listen to same kind of music, maybe have been through same kind of experiences, so you start building a niche. And that niche will give you that originality. And that's what the brands look for. They want to be more niche in their approach, and they want to also encompass that organic nature of influencing people. So the days of putting an advert out or hiring an influencer just because they have million followers is gone. Now what they look for is the authenticity. Numbers don't matter anymore. It's how organic your reach is.
Is that true? Numbers don't matter?
No, most of them are bots.
I would say authenticity definitely matters more than numbers, because it's like, it's a story on your page, you know, as the panel says, we are storytellers and the story of our lives is on our page. So brands really look for that. They don't look for somebody who's doing one mobile phone ad one day and then another the next day, for sure.
But
I think,
tell me this.
Yeah.
When do you, since you are the brand, you are the influencer, when do you stop being the influencer? When do you start being that person? Or that Lakshman Rekha simply does not exist?
I think the onus of drawing that line is actually on the influencer, because we know people who do this like first thing in the morning, and even on Saturdays, Sundays. But for us, it was very clear right from the beginning that we weren't leaving one corporate rat race to get into another. So, we made it a point to kind of draw that line that 2 days in a week, we are not, like, weekend. Not necessarily that Saturday and Sunday, but sometimes because of work, Sunday has to be dedicated to work. So we take Monday off. So I think it's really up to the content creator or the influencer to draw that line. And there's no like clear definition of where it starts and where it stops. But yes, at the end of the day, it does kind of permeate into a lot of the things that you do and a lot of times throughout the week.
But I think as Shantanu said, if you're being authentic with your audience, it feels so effortless. Sometimes you're working, but it doesn't even feel like work because you're actually putting a very authentic part of yourselves out into the world. So the boundaries are also very blurry sometimes.
You have to be up for it because if I am going on holiday, I don't want my phone around me. I don't know how you guys do it. But moving on, we're coming to the closing of this session. I want a quick sort of last comments on where is this going? We also see a lot of, like you said, we have saturated the content across platforms, more and more content, more and more influencers, so to say. There are also a lot of one-time hits and one-time wonders. So where is this going and what next for influencing? Like I said, Bollywood now acknowledges, politicians acknowledge, brands, of course, acknowledge. What next now in this influencer journey? Shantu, you, and then I'll go around.
I think the whole market dictates a socio-economical change through the eyes of an influencer, through the eyes of social media, basically. That's the greatest influence we can have, right? So I think it's about reform. It's about socio-economical change that can be brought about through the strong medium.
Change and reform through influencing. That's powerful.
Yeah, I think that's where we're headed. Like, be it any political party, be it any sort of form of rules or any ministry, there's always a social media handle, right? So, for example, I've worked with the Ministry of Culture. So they have an ongoing social media campaign regarding stuff. So people have recognized the importance of it. And I think it's slowly seeping into the whole reform movement. And it is an independent industry which is going to grow as we are growing as artists and influencers, and we have to deal with it.
Janvi?
I think it is just the beginning what you're looking at right now, and because अलग-अलग content creators सामने आ रहे हैं, अलग-अलग content सामने आ रहा है, which is taking the country forward for sure. But I also think over the time it will be like अगर आप अपनी audience के साथ, अपने content के साथ valuable है, so it will be a long game for sure.
Value add.
Yeah, value addition is the key, and value will create virality in the long run also. So that consistency and authenticity, as we discussing the previous question also, कि मेरे लिए वो लक्ष्मण रेखा नहीं है. I am the same person on social media and offline also. So I'm the same. And फिर अगर आप इतने authentic होते हैं ना, तो it is actually very effortless to put out content in a long run also. So
काम नहीं लगता है, as they used to say, right? Yeah.
काम तो लगता है.
Building on that, you can put up a facade for a day or two, a month max. But when you're putting out content, जैसे जानवी कह रही हैं कि रोज अगर डालना है, तो वो facade रहेगा नहीं ज़्यादा time तक. Your authentic self will come out.
Closing comments now, yeah. Viditya, then Sabi.
I just think that the idea of celebrity that all of us grew up with, movie stars, etc., is dissipating now. There are it's a very fluid concept. So all of us decide what niche we want to cater to, what our community is. So overnight virality is also not a bad thing, because that might help somebody like this tea seller that we were talking about before the panel. It might democratize and bring so much empowerment to a community. And I think that's what's important to remember, that all of us are thriving in our little niches and doing the best we can for our little communities out there.
That's nice. Exactly. With it, yeah. The lady said it all.
I would just say that I love the fact that it has become democratized now. Like, till a few years ago, there was this perception that, not everybody can become an influencer or this or that. It wasn't even considered a profession, right? Now, the beauty is that if you have the talent, if you have the dedication, if you have the skill, anybody can do that. And that's an amazing thing in a country like India, where so much can be done to highlight different corners, different facets, landscapes, culture, food. So, that I think is just the beginning. And it's going to evolve and grow into an amazing industry and a platform.
And I think it's gonna be like, matlab it depends on creator to creator. Someone wants to be a celebrity, someone wants to get into a movie or maybe an OTT.
There is space for all.
Yeah, there's a space for all, and I think we should look forward to be a change maker for the country now, to represent that content that can bring and evolve your country and take it forward.
I think what we can build consensus on this panel is about that the next step is going to be bringing about change. Yeah. The influence is going to get into the change that you bring. I loved what you said, Janvi, about value will define virality. And I loved what Shantanu also said about how impact is going to be, a major focus as well. So yeah, looking forward to that time. Like I said, whoever you are, how much ever you can raise your eyebrows to influencers or what they do, you cannot ignore them anymore. They're everywhere and they've got you, looking at the stuff that they want, how they want, and that is, just the times we all have to accept and make. On that note, thank you all so much for joining us and all of you over here. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Sonal, Shantanu, Janvi, Bruised Passports. What inspirational stories, ladies and gentlemen, and what really caught my eye, that all these influencers, Shantanu, Janvi, Bruised Passports, all of them are people who challenged the norm. They left their careers, they left everything a normal person would do in terms of a job in the private sector or government. They did what they liked best. They followed their heart, they followed their passion, and found a medium online. And ladies and gentlemen, I bet all of these people can teach our politicians more than a thing or two when it comes to storytelling and influencing people. They really know their products well. And clearly, what works in marketing, what works for a product is what works for these influencers. You have to add value. You have to be authentic. You have to be true to your viewers. Only then can you make it a full-time profession. So a big round of applause to Shantanu, Janvi, Bruised Passports for telling us such powerful stories here today at Rising Bharat. And ladies and gentlemen, very shortly we are going to be starting our next session in an era of information explosion when trillions of terabytes of content move across handhelds in milliseconds. It is the perspective that can sometimes get lost. Nuance and perspectives are the